Well, good morning everybody. A little bit time short today. Only time for a quick coffee. Got a bat mitzvah to go to at the port in Tel Aviv. After the huge bicycle ride that has gone around Tel Aviv this morning. So if you hear a helicopter buzzing overhead, that's what that's for. Anyway, yesterday I was watching from afar the shenanigans at the Old Bailey, a court that I've actually served on I did jury service there. I made it into a jury box, but then immediately out of the jury box for technical reasons. But I did wind up spending 2 weeks sitting in a hot, stuffy room at the top of that thing. Long time ago. Anyway, Tommy was at the Old Bailey and they screwed him again. The press say that his lawyers asked for a delay. That's not the case, as Tommy explained in the video. I'll just summarize it for those of you who don't watch every video that he does. What basically happened was, thank you. What happened was, this case, the Tommy's contempt, revolves around another case, the case out in Leeds that he was standing outside of, which was the second, it's finished probably, of a 3-part case. And the first thing that would have happened yesterday, had it gone as it should, is that Tommy would have given a prepared statement. And the judge, who would have known this in advance, said, no, this other trial is still ongoing, so I don't want to have any proceedings in front of me that would be further contempt of a reporting restriction on that case. So the judge sort of basically said, no, we can't do this now, we're going to postpone it. And in the meantime, there's going to be additional legal pleadings, written pleadings, and so on. So it's very much the case that the judge, and it's such a strange case because it's not the Crown Prosecution Service that are bringing this. The judge just doesn't want to hear the case now, and he would have known that prior to yesterday. So why he had the whole circus? I guess the only reason, and this is what Tommy proposes, is that had Tommy gone there and pled guilty to something, then it would have all been quiet. But because Tommy's actually going to, take the unbelievably undignified step of mounting a defence against government charges, sort of what the hell does he think he is, this uppity working class upstart who can't talk proper like? He's going to mount a defence? We can't have that. Anyway, so that they're just running up his bills, basically. We still don't know. I mean, the charges are still the same rubbish. Other journalists have break reporting restrictions all the time and get a slap on the wrist. Anyway, that's the update from Tommy. He also did this interview with Sky, which I've watched the Sky hit piece that they did. Of course, they start off with the first thing I see is a chyron that says he is the leader of the EDL. I didn't say former leader in the lower third graphic, so that's just bullshit. And it was a hit piece because the journalist, in the end, he got the quote that he wanted. Some sort of, he managed to get, by planting words, and that's the trick he was using, was so you are, very much like Kathy Newman and Jordan Peterson. So, Tommy, what you're saying is you don't mind inciting people to not like Muslims, and it was bullshit. I incite my kids not to step out in front of fast-moving cars. Tommy is inciting people to watch out for gangs of Muslim men who are preying on their daughters. That's what he's inciting people. It's called warning. And if the government had done that 40 years ago, perhaps we wouldn't have had 100,000, 200, 500,000, 1 million victims, however many it's going to turn out to be. Read Easy Meat. In Easy Meat, there was actually one council that produced an actual public information film, a police force and a council, and they went to show it, and it got basically buried. They wouldn't show it in the schools because it was too honest, because it showed Asian men, Asian of course, never talked about the ideology of Islam and taking sex slaves. It was too honest, so it was buried. Same thing with a documentary coming up before a local council election. Buried. Just buried. Too sensitive. That's the kind of stuff Tommy says, and Sky can do their tricks, but Tommy's also put out the whole 1 hour, 15-minute interview from which they cut these sort of bleeding chunks to make their hit piece. But I think we've turned the corner now. We've turned the corner whereby the more of these hit pieces they do, where they call everybody who supports Tommy far right, even though we obviously know he isn't. The EDL was not far right back in the day. I tried to help the EDL fight that with a bit of success, but not much. But calling everybody who turned out outside the court yesterday far right, calling all of those people, it's just everybody. And I would say the predominant politics would have been considered left-leaning or socialist-leaning 15, 20 years ago, prior to Corbyn's far-left, ultra-hate-filled, anti-Semitic and basically racist Labour Party today. Racist against Jews, racist against white working class people. That's today's Labour Party. And so none of the people out there supporting Tommy yesterday would fall into the category of Corbyn Labour, I would think, because Corbyn and Labour have gone off into a place that just, a far left Islamist alliance that's just evil. But so when Sky News come with far right, it's just tired old crap. And when they do a maliciously edited piece, but Tommy has the full 1 hour 15 minutes, I know. I mean, we'll see that 1 hour 15 video will have huge viewership on his Facebook page and eventually on the YouTubes when it gets there. Higher than Sky News' actual viewership for that segment. I guarantee you. And the people watching Tommy's videos online are actually, they're leaning in, to use the American parlance. They are engaged. They are not just old people to whom Sky can sell, old holidays. They're not that kind of people. Their audience, Tommy's audience, is alive and young comparatively. So that's it. Anyway, the news from Israel. I just wanted to say a huge thank you for all the feedback I got after last week's video about Ari Fuld, who was my friend who was murdered. If you haven't seen that video, it's 40 minutes long with drone pictures. It was cathartic to make a video like that. And I'm still, every time I turn on the computer, I get reminded of Ari, because someone retweets one of his old tweets, or I see another Facebook friend writing about him. But we're moving on here. We're carrying on the same work that Ari did. Ari talked about Israel in a positive way. I talk about Israel in a positive way. Bibi at the UN yesterday, I watched that. That was kind of fun. It got overshadowed by the Kavanaugh thing, which was also amazing. In fact, I was up till 2 a.m. watching Kavanaugh. But Bibi at the UN, given the Google coordinates of the latest Iranian nuclear stuff. I know I've got followers and people who watch these videos who are very skeptical about Israel, very skeptical about the Mossad and what we're up to. And basically, it's quite simple. Zionism is Israel. It's the right of the Jewish people to have a home here in Israel where I'm sitting. That's it. It's really not bigger than that. We're not expansionist beyond our own security, okay? So in 1948, we should never have lost the land that we went on to recapture in 1967. The heartland of Judaism is the hills around Jerusalem and off over there. It's 25, 30 kilometers from where I'm sitting. That's the heart of the Bible. That's where our story comes from. Zionism is about living here in Tel Aviv, living there in Jerusalem, and living on those hills above Jerusalem. In fact, I took my kids on the train to Jerusalem. It's the old train. There's an old train that goes from Beit Shemesh into Jerusalem. It's the old sort of Turkish, British train line. And it's an amazingly pretty and beautiful train, but it's like a single track. Train takes hours. It's a totally irrelevant way of getting to Jerusalem today. Driving is far more it's the Judean hills. Far more obviously worthwhile doing if you actually want to get there. But the train was good fun and the kids liked it. But this is Israel. This is what we've built here. Nobody else was going to build it for us. Nobody else wants this. Nobody else wants to build here. The only thing that seems to be is a lot of people who don't want Jews here, or don't want Jews running our own affairs here. Time's too short to listen to those people. Don't know what Trump's coming with his plan. It'll, if, you know, maybe they'll talk about turning Jordan into a Palestine. Well, you know, it should be. Palestine, the British mandate, Palestine included all of Jordan. So it should have been ruled by Jews, the whole area. The whole area would have been much more productive had it been that way, but it isn't. Anyway, that's it. That's the update on Tommy. Thanks very much for all the good wishes for Ari, and for any of you who donated to his GoFundMe. I'm sure that will be put to good use, not just his children's living expenses, but I know that his wife will carry on doing some of what Ari did. And that's it. We got one more holiday and then it's really properly back to work. The end of Sukkot is coming up, and wishing you all well around the world. Thanks very much for staying with me, and see you the next time I Periscope. Brian of London, here in the forest in Tel Aviv.